Today we'll be removing the internal governor on this 212cc Predator. First we're gonna remove the cover to the pull start. It has 4 8mm bolts. You want to make sure you don't lose anything. There we go. Now we are going to undo a little bit of wiring here. Alright, there we go. So that's the pull start cover. There we go. There we go. So you have this. There we go, that's loose now. Yes, that's what we're looking for. Okay. So, the governor is attached to a little peg right here. So what we're going to do next is remove the bolts to the cover on the other side.
Side. We'll leave that later anyway. Now on these I'm going to compare the lengths just to make sure there's not any special ones that are a different length. Those two look like they're the same length. Those two are the same length as those. Alright. Put these inside there. Okay. Now this is where we get to the meat. I'm going to tap it with a mallet to loosen it out.
Loose. I'm trying to salvage this gasket so I don't have to buy a new one, because a new gasket saves a lot of money for one gasket. So it looks like I saved the gasket, so that's good. So the governor on this is right in there. It's a little nylon gear, that right there. We're going to come through on the other side and pound it out this way. So you gotta get it, rotate the shaft in the right position. There we go. Alright, I'm going to show you how this governor gear works. So we have a wheel with some weights here, and when it spins at high enough RPM, these weights go out and push that peg up, and that peg in turn pushes a governor arm and reduces your throttle. You want to make sure you get these washers out of the engine, otherwise your engine will blow up. The way I did it, there's 2 washers. Other people do it where there's 3 washers because they take out the governor arm, but you want to make sure you get both those washers out. Now another thing that we're going to do before we button up this engine is take out the low oil sensor, just because if you maintain your engine well, you shouldn't have to worry about that, and plus it shuts off the engine sometimes when you're jostling the engine around, and that cannot be fun. So that's another thing I'm going to remove. It's down in the bottom here. I don't know if you can see any of it. Here, I'll move the camera. The governor was right back there, and that's the low oil sensor. That's what we're going to be removing. Okay. There we are. So there's a mark there and a mark there, and I have to line those up when I put it back together. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to get some dikes and cut some wires here. There we go, right there. There's a little wire to cut. So I just barely removed this. This is a low oil sensor. I just clipped a wire there, and then there's another wire over here on the external. We're going to cut another wire just here. It's actually the same jet wire, just farther down. So, right there. Gotta cut it flush. We're going to go farther in depth on this low oil sensor. It's basically a switch controlled by floats. So when the level goes down, it senses that there is no oil in the engine and closes a switch and grounds on the case. So there's a float here, as you can see, and while the float is up, the switch is open. When the float is down, the switch is closed. It's pretty simple. Now, I left a hole here, obviously, because, I mean, when you take a pin out, it's going to leave a hole in the case. So, I have something to help us seal up that hole. I have a bolt with an O-ring. I'm going to stick it in there.
It is very soft metal, and since this bolt is a tight bolt. It just goes, I don't even have to tap it, it's just nice, almost like you're putting a screw in it, but it's not. And hopefully it doesn't produce any shavings, so I hope, yes. It's got a nice aid. Nice. So, what I'm going to do, need more of an extension because that one's not working good enough. And push this in, should just go in. We're going, aren't we? Yes, we are. Yeah, that's probably in. Is it in? Probably at least close. Okay. Now, make sure there's no shavings in here or whatnot, so we do not want that. I don't think it produced any, which is a good sign.
And then on the other side, I'm going to add a lock washer. Since it was tight, it doesn't need to be too much. And then I'm going to add a nut. Beautiful. Now I want to compress the O-ringer a little bit and the lock washer. So seal everything up nice and tight. Yeah, that looks like it's... Yeah, that should be good. Alright. There. That's good. Okay. Since it's on the outside of the engine, I think I might just cut it off. So, we want something to catch the shavings. Because I don't want to contaminate not even my workbench, because if we get any shavings in that engine, it's not good. There we go. So that way when I cut it, it'll just fall in and I pick it up and don't contaminate anything. Just got my hacksaw here. I cleaned up the shavings from when I cut the end of the bolt off. So, let's see what we're going to do next. I'm going to put the cam back in. So I'm going to tilt it on its side. And then there's a hole right here, almost like a dent. And I have to line it up with another dent right there.
Like so. Right there. So let's get that in. Right there. Like that. There we go. There. Shouldn't be, that's good. Perfect. So got that gear back in there. Now I'm gonna, let's see. Put this back on. Let's see, gotta make sure this is going on straight. Yeah, it is. There we go. And each and every one of these bolts. I'm just gonna start these and we'll torque them down later. There we go. There. get this, and you don't put anything there to run those for. Just like this. Look at that. Snazzy. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to run these down, but I'm not going to torque them to spec yet. Just going to run them down. Okay. So the around button back. Let me see. Well, technically, I don't know what we call this. Okay. Pull this out. Let's see. Just a little piece of plastic. That was it's a clip that held the wiring together. But since it's got some wiring, we don't need it anymore. And then, let's see where. Nice knife. Okay. So there is a. This. Nice. There we go. This one. What's up here? I'm going to put that down later. Let's see.
I'd like to put this linkage back together. It's probably a good thing to do. There we go. And then there's a nut up here that I'm going to loosen up. Because see how stiff this throttle is? It's for if you're running on some sort of machine, like a pressure washer or something. Where you, but we're not, so I'm going to loosen it up so it can be used on a different application. I'm going to torque down this side cover. I don't have a foot torque wrench that for foot-pounds. I don't have one that goes low enough for 17 foot-pounds, so I did the math. It's around 205. It's 204 inch-pounds, but we're going to go 205.
So, get in a good position. That should be about right. You want to start having to walk them down. There we go. And go here. Then from there we're going to go here. From there we're going to go here. Okay. And from there we're going to go this last one right here. And check them out, make sure they're all to the right spec. Right there. Okay, they're all good. Okay, next, and tighten up this.
Alright, now we're going to torque this bolt to spec. Put this in there. Put this in here. That should be good. I'm going to continue putting this back together. I got this. I'm going to connect this electrical right here. And then this grounds on the case. So I'm going to stick this up through the linkage. And up through there. Like that. Yes.
Okay. Put another two real quick. There we go. Yeah, drop them down. Camera, put the oil in. Nope.
Now we're going to put some oil in the tank, or in the reservoir. Got my funnel. Bought some standard 10 weight 30 to put in it. Okay. It says it takes about half a quart, so I'm going to put in about half of this thing. And then we'll check the oil level and see where it is at. Let me see. Put a tad bit more in.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. I'm going to check the oil level now. There's definitely oil hitting the tip of this thing. I wonder if I should put some more in. Let's see. Yeah, looks a little low. I'm going to put some more in. I might have to buy some more after we break it in. Okay. Let's see where we are now. Yeah, I can see the level now. Yeah, there's oil in there now. It says it only takes half a quart, but of course I took out the governor, so I'm going to screw this in. I'm going to put some gas in it and start her up. Check camera. Pretty empty. Alright. should probably be enough to get started.
Alright, I'm going to show that this engine runs after our procedure. It's probably an important thing. Put this on. Seems to run fine. One thing we did have to do is we had to reset the push rods on the rockers because when I took out the cam they fell out of place, so I just had to replace those. But other than that, it went pretty smoothly. It's a pretty decent engine. Considering how well this thing runs, I don't think I'll have to do anything with the jets, because if I do add jets with bigger holes, it'll let more fuel into the engine and make it run rich. And running it rich does not mean any more power. Sometimes it actually means less power. So I'm not actually going to mess with the jets, but instead I might end up doing some other modifications. But if you notice on here, there's two filters. There's a paper filter and a foam filter. I'm actually just going to rip off that foam filter because it adds extra resistance to the intake, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And the paper filter will filter the air good enough for our application. So like if we were going to be in an area where there was a lot of dust, like in a sawmill or something, like that might be needed, but for this application I don't think it's really needed. If I have enough money left after I get a lot of the rest of the Drift Trike built, I might end up doing an exhaust kit on this and possibly an intake kit instead of the jets. I do plan on modifying the centrifugal clutch that I'll be putting on this. I'll be getting it in the mail probably Wednesday, and then the film will probably come out Friday or Saturday where I modify that. So see you next time.